east side over to the police station, so you'll have to park over there next week. Same parking pass will apply. You just park in a different spot for the week. At this time, I ask Coach Thompson to come up, make an opening statement, and then we'll take questions.
Thank you, Zeke. Well, I think what you saw on Saturday night was fairly typical of Wofford Citadel game over the past 3 or 4 times that we've played them. When you play a team that mirrors yourself, that's what you get. You get a defensive struggle out there. And there's a points in time where there's a constant back and forth between adjustments, in-game adjustments, and things that you need to be able to get done. There's about 3 or 4 different plays in there that I thought would have changed the course of the ball game that were pretty important plays for us. Of course, I thought they made a few plays that certainly changed the course of the ball game for them. So my hat's off to them. They played a great game. It's a very, very good football team. As I said after the game, there's a reason why they are number 5 in the country, undefeated. They find ways to win those games, and they're doing a good job of it. I expect they'll win a lot more games down the stretch here. We came out, we played with great emotion. I thought we played extremely hard. The first half was about the way we wanted it to go. We knew we needed to eat some clock, keep the defense off the field, so we had about 29 defensive snaps on that side and close to 35 on the offensive side. So we were moving the ball, and I thought we had 2 really good drives. Both quarterbacks came in, provided a little different dynamic for both different offenses that we were kind of running there. We had a game plan for each of them that I thought worked fairly effectively in the first half, and then the defense did everything they could and kept them off the field, which was great. Second half, unfortunately, we had to be able to, probably move the football a little bit more inside, get downhill, be more direct as we were more perimeter-oriented in the first half, attack them with more vertical seams, and we weren't able to do that, and that didn't help us sustain drives, unfortunately. Defense continued to play fairly well throughout the second half, gave up a couple big plays, and then, of course, I thought the other play that was the turnover inside the 2-yard line that kind of affected the outcome of the ball game, but that's going to happen, and that's the way it goes, and we've got to move on. We've got a good Chattanooga team. It's, as I told the guys today, it's the same Chattanooga team. They're still very, very talented, and I know their record doesn't indicate that, but they've got a lot of the same players on offense. They got a lot of the same players on defense, and they can still score and they can still stop you. So we've got to do a good job. I think we've got to be very, very fundamental and get back to doing what we do, and that's, of course, kill the clock, run the football, and make sure that we can score some points there. Sunday, I thought we got back to work. We had a pretty good day of work, of practice for a tough loss that we took. There's a lot of guys that are sore, beat up, sore, as well as just sore emotionally, as we all are. But certainly we shake it out of them and we get going, and we get back to work today on Tuesday. Questions?
Brent, where do you go now for goals for this team? Is the playoffs something you still think about, or how do you approach that?
Well, if you look at last year, there were probably quite a bit of 7-4 win teams, including a Sanford team. So yeah, that goal is still out there, and we're still motivated by that. We're still driven by that. That's absolute. We certainly want a winning season. There's no doubt about that. And really, we just want to continue to compete, and I think that's really all that matters. And we'll take this one game at a time.
When a running team is having trouble running the ball, where do you sort of go from there? If that's
well,
not
I don't know
question.
that you go to the pass game, so you continue with the run game. We threw for 35 yards the other night. We had a couple of good passes out there, and we had an opportunity for some more. We just weren't able to capitalize on those. But we've hung our hat all year. We've hung our hat even last year on running the football. So I don't know that you throw it all out because you're not running it effectively. We just got to get better at running it. And what you're seeing out there was a very good defensive football team. And we did run the ball against Mercer. We just didn't hold on to the ball at Mercer, which is the other aspect of the game.
Just how frustrating is it when the recipe for success has been the same for 2 years, and then suddenly you run into a stretch like this, and like you said, you can't change what you do. You are who you are.
Yeah, it's frustrating, but we all got to realize it's a different ball team out there. We've got to continue to do what we do and continue to do what was successful here. There's a reason why it was successful. It's all the fundamentals are still there, all the play calls are still there. We just got to continue to improve, and we will, and we have. And we're just going through a little bit of a stage right now that we're about to get out of.
How's Chattanooga changed with the new head coach?
A little bit more pass-oriented. Changed a little bit on defense. Their personnel is about the same on defense, but they play a slightly different defense, and they do try to. It's more of a pro style of an offense. They're more concentrated on throwing the football and doing a little bit of inside and outside zone running the ball.
Anyone else? Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, at this time we'll bring up junior running back Rod Johnson. He had a 2-yard touchdown run in Saturday's game against Wofford, and we'll open it up to questions.
Rod, what is the team looking forward to now as far as goals? Do you think the playoffs are still something that's out there, or what's sort of driving the team at this time?
Right now, the only thing that's driving us is just winning the next game, getting ready to compete for the next game. We're not going to look too forward ahead. We're not going to look at the playoffs right now. We just need to focus on the next game and our task at hand right now.
What do you think is the main issue with the offense right now?
I don't really think there's too much of an issue. Some days the offense is going to click, some days it's not. We just have to find that consistent rhythm. And honestly, when we played Wofford, I felt like, unlike the other games, we actually came out in the first half and we actually played with our opponent. I know in a couple of games we were kind of coming out kind of slow, and it showed. So, I mean, I really feel like we're getting to the point now to where we're actually learning how to compete consistently.
Kind of the same thing I asked Coach. When you guys have had so much success doing what you're doing, and then you kind of hit a wall with it, what do? How do you get past that and stay positive at least somehow?
You just keep doing what you're doing. You smile on Sundays and forget about what happened on Saturday if you lost, and you just get ready for the next week. You don't dwell on the past. You just keep moving forward.
Anyone else? Figure out. All right, lastly, junior bandit Quinlan Washington started all 6 games this season, leads the team with 4 quarterback hurries and has 3 tackles for loss. We'll just open it to questions.
Quinlan, I think that game was the first time Wofford had not rushed for 100 yards in like 10 years. What was sort of the game plan going in?
Well, playing against a triple option, we knew that they were going to be a running team, and that's something we get hyped for because we run the triple option here. So we just went in with the game plan of executing against the run game, and as that clearly shown, that happened. So.
What happened on the couple of busts that let the receivers get loose?
It was a couple blown coverages, but that's going to happen from time to time. We just got to prepare for it next week and get better.
Coach said after the game that everybody put a lot into that game. Is that easy to get over when you put so much into a game and it doesn't go your way?
It's always tough because we prepare so much for the game, so it's always tough coming off a loss. But it's not anything more than the losses that we've had. We just got to get back to doing what we do and come back next week or this week ready to fight. So.
Quinton, a third straight championship is probably out the window now. What's the motivation? What's the drive for you guys as you finish out this season?
Well, like my teammate Rod said, we just got to not focus so much about the future, far in the future. We got to just look at this game right here and get the W for this game. So.
This team has been so good the last few years at shaking off losses, but after 3 in a row, does it get harder to shake them off as each week goes by?
It's definitely a lot of adversity right now, but I'm excited to see how we bounce back and come out for this week. So.